Welcome to the Apex eSports League Formula Rookie Cup. We are playing Project Cars 2 on the PS4 tonight. It is round 2 of the 5-round series for the Formula Rookies, which is also the Formula Fords in Project Cars 2. Tonight's round we're at the Nurburgring GP. Tonight's first session we've got 15 minutes practice. Game time is 9 o'clock, weather light cloud. Then 15 minutes qualifying, weather is light cloud, and then for the sprint race we have 8 laps, weather is medium cloud with no mandatory pit. Then we'll have a 9-minute break and then head into session 2. So that's session 2, we have 15-minute qualifying, weather is heavy cloud, the main race is 16 laps, weather is heavy cloud to clear with a mandatory pit. So last week we saw a Zero come through with a double win. So he's leading the championship by 51 points, so it's a good solid lead coming out of the first round, but the rest of the field is very tight for points. So Disfigured Soul sitting with 10 points, however he did miss the second session of round 1, so if he's here for the 2 rounds tonight that will catch him up in some points. So Zero took pole position in the first race, and also took both fastest laps for both of those races as well. So we'll go over and check out the track. So over to Germany for the Nurburgring GP. The track is 5.14 kilometres long, turns 16, and of course the game time there is 9 o'clock. So early morning temperatures will make the track temperatures a little bit cooler, so some slower lap times expected in the first few laps of the session. Times 2 is the game speed, so it will progress into by about 30 minutes since it's a 15-minute practice. And slightly smaller grid size so far. Hopefully get a couple more join into the second part. We did manage to see 14 cars in the opening round last week. Some cars getting out onto the track now, yep. Oh, there we go, we are catching back up. The track's joining us tonight for the Formula Rookies. So he's a familiar name amongst Apex eSports League. We usually see him do quite well in our V8 Supercars series, and is one of his strong forms. And Slappy Kiwi has jumped over into tonight's round as well. He has raced with us before. So we are missing a few drivers, so far we're missing Simo Simsel, Rocket Rod and Jeffries. So they were with us last week. Rocket Rod and Jeffries were debuting with Apex eSports League in round 1 last week. So we have Slappy Kiwi driving the red. What number is he? Red number 102. Which is going 350. So he qualified second in the sprint race. I think that was pushed back by way of a grid place penalty. And then he disconnected during the main race last week, so he missed out on those second round points. And he did qualify pole position for that final race in round 1 as well. So it was very disappointing for Gallen to not be able to finish the race. That set him back in the points. However, he is still sitting 7th position. DGO787 just out in the kitty litter at the moment. Doesn't look like he has taken damage. Not sure if he's going to bring that car in or just wait. Get back out on track. Oh, a little bit of lag going on from car going past. Hopefully we don't have any interruptions. There seems to be a few issues going on with PlayStation Network at the moment. Having issues with trying to get some chat going with the drivers just before. And then had a disconnect. Oh, yes, here comes a Zero. So Zero leading the championship. Has just made it back in. He was just in the lobby a bit before. And it was coming up that we couldn't actually chat to him in the last moments before heading off into this stream, so hopefully no issues go on. And Zero was in very good form last week. Some brilliant driving at the front of the race. He's in a race of his own for majority of the time. We'll make our way through the list now. Oh, very broad slide for Demon Effects. Perfect time to switch over to him. Getting that rear right out, going around that left-hand turn. And we'll get to know the track once we get through the rest of the cars. Disfigured Soul also in the yellow. And Disfigured qualified 13th in the sprint last week. Finished 14th. There was a big incident actually on the second last lap, which we didn't get to see in the coverage. There was a big incident between Disfigured Soul and DG crossing paths coming onto turn 1, which actually saw both of them completely wrecked. So hopefully no unfortunate incidents occurring tonight for them. And Gina 07 is currently coming 5th in the championship. He's got 68 points. Kakadu 2 just ahead of him on 74 points. He hasn't made it to the session yet, so a good opportunity for Gina to get ahead. And we saw some brilliant driving by Sunty last week as well. He was up towards the top of the field for a good portion of the race. A couple little incidents seeing him slip behind, and then we did see him do a double pit stop in the end in the main race. That second pit stop costing him drastically in those race positions. So he had a bit of damage that he had to tend to, which didn't get repaired. He said in the first pit stop that he did pit rather early, which we didn't know if he was just sneaking it in as a strategic move to get ahead of the others, but he was getting in and out actually to tend with some damage. So in and out of the pits cost him a fair bit of time, and then have to go back in later and get those issues sorted. Hopefully no bad luck for Sunty tonight, and we can see him up towards the top yet again. And Strasbourg's currently sitting in tied 9th position with Jeffries with 49 points. And Jeffries not in here yet. He may be expected to be joining in for the second session, so hopefully he can make it in for that. And Sami, who's coming 3rd in the championship, he's got 80 points. So Demon Effects leading ahead of him in position 2 on 87 points. So not much between Sami and Demon Effects. And so far times coming in on the board. Sami and Demon Effects still very close. You can see why they are so close on the championship leaderboard. And Gallons come through for 2:21. Currently 3rd quickest time in the practice session. Trex has come through for 2:22. And he wouldn't be practiced as he wasn't intending on be racing this series. Was managed to join in with us tonight. So hopefully you can get familiar with his car. He's a very competent racer in many of the cars, so I'm sure he's going to be a force to be reckoned with tonight still, even without some practice. And DG debuting in this series with Apex eSports League. He's currently sitting on the leaderboard with 36 points. Simo Simsel 2 points ahead of him, so he's sitting in 12th. Simo hasn't made the session yet. Not sure if he will be making it later. We also have Bertie, who's put in apologies and cannot make it tonight, so we won't see him, and he's currently sitting 6th on the championship with 63 points, with Gina just ahead of him. So with Kakadu and Bertie not here currently, Gina07 has a good opportunity to put a bit of distance by getting some good strong points here in round 2 tonight. And if you're joining us for the stream, don't forget to hit that follow button so that you can be informed when we go live for any of our events. And there's also our social media links down below, our Facebook page, so you can check out all our results and standings and any incident reports. And there's also a link from there if you want to get involved in any of our events. You can head to our private group, or we've even got the Apex eSports League Android app, which has all the information for you to be able to get involved in our racing, or just to keep up to date with all our events and results. So far, still quickest time is Sami. We're going to jump on board with someone to do a lap around Nurburgring. So Sami will be coming up very soon to doing a full lap. So we'll jump over to him and stay on board since he's the quickest one around here at the moment. It is a very good, tight, technical track with some very good fast corners. So very well suited for these cars. It is a very long way around for a lap. And the zeros come through for the 218. Track conditions will start to warm up a little bit as it goes on. And we'll jump on board with Sami now. Always is slowed down. That's right. So on for a lap. So along pit straight. Cars are only 4-speed. Car should be able to top out just before having to get on the anchors pretty quick for a good tight hairpin. Oh, and it's a big drop down that hairpin. It is very reminiscent of the corkscrew. And you can go rather quick around this corner. It is a very off-cambered corner, so being careful with that throttle as you go around. A bit of a slide by Sami as he flies around here. Nice line. Oh, very slippery. So you usually do go a little bit wider on those lines. But then he did have, I think it was Demon Effects just ahead of him. So that put him off a little bit long on that line. Hitting that ribble strip there, right on the middle of the apex, is a good line. You can go quite quick down through there and bounce it straight out to the outside curb. Bit of a sharper corner here. As you down into second gear, go nice and wide out onto that corner. And this is a very nice fast corner here. Get out nice and wide, late turn into the apex, and flat sticks all the way through. Bounced up over that curb. So only just slightly off the line. And then up onto a blind corner here, and then a sharp left. Nicely done by Sami. And then in a very quick corner through here, feather it through in third gear. A little bit of slip. So weather conditions are still light cloud for this session, and game time was 9 AM, so it is cold track tyres. Sorry, cold track temps, so it's affecting the tyres, I should say. Thanks for joining us, Zed Loop. And then into the last corner. Very tricky to get a nice line through there, and a very good exit speed coming onto pit straight. Is a lap around Nurburgring GP. Courtesy of Sami for that nice lap around there. We've got some quicker times coming in. So I don't think he's improved that time. We'll have a look at the timings. His quickest laps are 2:17.08, so only 300th of a second off for that lap. I'm talking for the guys earlier, they were getting 2:16s, 2:17s. Some of our newer drivers getting in the 2:18 range, so that was pretty good timings. And the zeros come through for 2:15.981. And if you do join us for the stream as well, don't be shy. Say hello just as Zloop has done. Thanks for hitting that follow button as well. Zero, our championship leader, coming in very strong with a 2:15. That is a very nice time. And Gallon's come through into the 2:16 marks along with Demon Effects. Some very promising times coming through. Ooh, a little bit of slip as he tries to bring that car back around to get that perfect line through the corner. And most of the good fast corners are lightly off camber as they exit out of the corners, which tends to bounce these cars as they're such at a very low height off the track. And then if these guys are setting up some of the cars to try and get a little bit of extra time, or big broad slide by Demon Effects. We saw him getting loose a little bit earlier in the practice session. There's 20 seconds remaining. Seeing some good times coming through. We're about to head off into 15 minutes of qualifying, and game time will progress to 10 AM. Weather will still be light cloud. And we just had Sunti run off track to allow Demon Effects through. And there we have practice complete. Cars now on their last laps. Oh, big broad slats where we saw Demon Effects get loose earlier. There's a bit of debris on the track around the corner. So a few cars probably going right off in a spin. We just had Gallon before have his lap time invalidated. Oh, China just runs off wide on that corner. That car bounced quite heavily. He just goes off to be able to bring the car back into the pits. And if you are there, if you're on our stream, down underneath the chat, you can actually use some sound effects controls, so you can have some fun with the stream, do some various sound effects to reflect of anything that's going on in the race, and you can give a cheer or a boo or whatever you like. There's all sorts of sounds going on. Oh, a little bit of a lag going on there. I'm not sure whose car that is in the back. I think it may have been Slappy Kiwi's car, I'm not sure. No, there still is a car out on track. I'm trying to figure out who's driving that white one. Demon Effects. That is, yes, that's Strasbourg's car. So we're seeing a bit of jumping around on the track. Just trying to see if it's, yes, he was seeming to have a few lag issues with the chat in the lobby beforehand. Hopefully that doesn't cause any technical issues heading off into the race. Gallon's bringing that in. Practice will be complete in just a moment. Army missing out on that corner. And there we are. Oh, and Kakadu has joined. And then we have practice session, a zero, our championship leader, coming through with the quickest time, a 2:15.859. Half a second off is Gallon, 3:50. Another second is Demon Effects. There's some pretty tight times throughout the field. Looks like most differences is going to be in Sector 2. There's some very significant time differences going from minute 22 to a minute 13. So a lot of passing is probably going to be going on there, and to have an advantage over your other cars, trying to shave off some time in Sector 2 will be the big advantage. Oh, bit of lag going on. few network issues. A few network issues going on, but we are back now. We've had Kakadu 2. Okay, hopefully after some troubleshooting. Oh no, I froze. Okay, and we are back after some technical issues going on big time. We've missed 5 minutes of the qualifying, so we've got a 0 coming through for 2:17. We saw him just shy in the slow 2:15s, with him sitting up behind. Looks like he's taken some damage at some stage as well. Very closely timed. His Demon Effects currently sitting only 300th of a second behind a 0. So a fair few times invalidated showing on the race feed for me. Cars running wide. We have Kakadu too, yet to get a time on the board. T-Rex is yet to get a time on the board as well. Gallen, Gina, Strasbourg and Sami also to do it. All doing very strong times in the practice session. Wasn't able to pay attention as to what was going on while trying to get the stream issues fixed. Lucky Kiwi in with a 2:32. Disfigured Soul has got a grid place penalty. So that's 2 grid places. I'm not sure if that's 2 separate incidents of speeding in pit lane or if that was just significant speeding. Drivers do have to ensure they hit a pit speed limiter button. And we go with some more times on the board now. Zero still leading. And Disfigured just brought that car back in. Disfigured currently holding pole position with a 2:17.285. Oh no, it's just been taken by Demon Effects. We saw Demon Effects come through with the 2:16s in practice. Track temperatures are increasing. Oh, that's a slide for Demon Effects. That was a very nice slide. It didn't help him. A couple of these corners, you can slide these things around. They are like big go-karts. Great to throw around the track to get them through some very technical corners, and they can tolerate a fair bit of slip going around those fast bends. But that was quite broad on that very sharp corner. That was some very nice driving by Demon Effects. Did not help him time-wise, but was rather impressive. This is where we saw him go for a big drift earlier as well. This Lucky Kiwi moves out of the way, and the car ghosts for some strange reason. However, ghosting is switched off for this session. And it is custom setups for the drivers as well, so they have control over the setups of these cars. And also what tyre compounds they decide to use as well. Generally, they would be able to make a set of softs last throughout these races. They tend to not chew tyres up much. Zero needs to shave off another second, just about to try and steal pole position back away from Demon Effects. If he can come through for 2:15 like we saw before. We just had Gallen come up into the 2:17 mark. He's only a second off pace from Demon Effects at the moment. A little bit of difference heading down the line to Sami with 2.8 seconds off the pole setting time. A fair bit of debris around that corner. That was where we saw Demon Effects decide to go for a nice dive and slide around that corner. Santi doing pretty well with a 2:19 so far. Sami, Strasbourg and Santi all in 2:19 sections. Trex and Kakadu in the 2:20s. I was mentioning in the practice that since Kakadu hadn't made it yet, well, if he wasn't to get there, Gina would have a good opportunity to actually get ahead on the championship ladder, as Bertie is only tailing Gina by 5 points. And Bertie can't make it tonight. We had Bertie finish 7th in the sprint race last week, and then 4th in the main race. And that was after qualifying 10th and 8th respectively. So big recoveries in those races. So a good opportunity for Gina to try and get ahead. Kakadu is here. He's coming through with slightly only a second off pace from what Gina is. Gina qualified 9th and came 8th in the sprint race. He finished on the podium in the main race last week, taking third position. That was after qualifying 7th, so a very good drive in that main race for the opening round. And getting a podium in the second race of the round, it's worth the most points. So it's double that of the sprint. And then for pole position, there is 20 points up for grabs. So Demon Effects doing well with a 2:15. So that's a time just about as to what a Zero got in the practice session. So Demon showing some very quick speed, especially with how he's throwing this car and slowing. Oh, a Zero's just come through and stolen pole away. 3 minutes remain. There could be potential for a couple more laps to get in. Demon Effects could try and recover that again. 2:15, 4:09, so he's now 300th of a second quicker than Demon Effects' time. And the Zero needing those points to maintain this good lead of 51 points in the championship, just coming out of round 1. So a very strong start. And as I was mentioning, 20 points up for grabs for pole position. The Zero's brought that car in. And for a win in the sprint race, there's 30 points. Then for second is 25 points, and third is 20. And then in the main race in session 2 tonight, victory will see 60 points, second place 50, and third place 40. So Gina taking a spot on the podium in the race that counts really ensured him a stronger position in the championship. Don't forget to say hi in the chat if you're joining us as well. Let us know who you think's going to have pole position, who you think's going to take the win. Can Azuro keep this pole position? He's brought that car into the pits, so there's no opportunity now for him to get back out and have a time set. Oh, Kakadu's just cost this lap. He's got enough time to get that car back around. This lap won't count, but it's a time to get around the track and have one more shot at it. And Terex, a late entry in the series, joining us for round 2. Doing well for 2:20. So 2:17, 2:18 is a pretty tight time. So there's not much off pace. Zero and Demon Effects really punching in with some very strong times in the 2:15 mark. DG only got half a second difference between him and Terex at the moment. And Disfigured Soul, unfortunately, with a 2 grid place penalty, so it's going to be seeing him start at the end of the grid. Lucky Kiwi moves up into 11th position if he doesn't improve that time and move further up the board in these last moments of the qualifying session. Disfigured Soul right on the tail. This Lucky Kiwi as well is going to be getting some nice draft from. Oh, there's been contact. I think that's Gallon. He's made contact there. Yep, that was Gallon. That's ruined this opportunity for the final lap. He'll probably do a few burnouts most likely. Trex up in 5th position. I think he's got time to finish up his lap. Yes, he should. Oh, it might be tight actually. Where everyone is. I don't think Sunty's going to get a chance to get around in time. He's already about a whole lap to go, and he's not going to be able to do that in 100 seconds with what's remaining in the qualifying session. DG is in that same boat as well. Disfigured Soul and Slappy Kiwi are going to have an opportunity, but I think Slappy may have made contact. Not sure who it was that Gallon made contact with these two. So it's probably cost them for this lap. So crossing the line, here he goes. Hasn't improved that time. Slappy Kiwi as well, but Slappy Kiwi does move up. The Sunty's not going to get a chance to get around. Oh, and he's improving his time, but he's got a lot of time to shave off to be able to catch up to the next position. He's 2 seconds behind Gallen. Only 2.5 seconds, so he needs a fair bit of shaving off. And wraps it up for the qualifying session. And then we have a 0-1-43 taking pole position. A good start, getting 20 extra points onto that 51-point lead in the championship. Also starting towards the top is Demon Effects in second. Very tight times between them. There is not a lot of difference in those times. Sector 1 is probably, and Sector 3 is 200th of a second between the two of them in there. So it's going to be very tight with only 0.013 difference in Sector 2. Okay, in the rest of the field we have Sami, Gallen, Terex, Strasbourg, Sunty, Kakadu, DG, China 07 Disfigured Soul moves down into 12th, and Slappy Kiwi moves up into 11th position because of the 2 grid place penalty. So heading into the race ready screen. Drivers have got a couple of minutes to get their cars all set up for the race. Most drivers would have been blocking off a lot of the inlets on the cars to try and get that extra bit of speed out of them. You can close off any openings for radiators and brake ducts and the lights off, but not brake ducts for these cars, however, but definitely for the radiator openings. It does potentially cause damage to the engines, but doing that in those few laps for qualifying can give you a bit of an advantage to some very good times in the qualifying, especially when you're running a very light load of fuel. Whether the cars will start seeing some performance impacting damage done to the engines if they run the cars like that for the race. As after 5 or 6 laps, their cars will start to lose power drastically. Hopefully we can find a good spot to start. So all drivers are hit ready. We are ready to go in a moment. The lights are about to go green. Emma away, a delayed start for Demon Effect. And Sami gets away with a 0, managing to keep that lead at the start. So now we've now seen Sami get into second position, but he's going to have to move over. Otherwise he's probably going to have to... Oh, there's locking of the wheels going on, and then almost some contact by Kakadu up behind. That was very close indeed. They almost interlocked wheels, but he managed to pull that out before running over each other's tyres. That was very lucky. I think it's a clean start so far. The 0 is getting away quite quickly. Kakadu a little bit over the curb. He's moving out of the way. Oh, just narrowly avoids the rear of Sami's car. Gallen's diving side to side, trying to find a clear, safe spot to get through. Demon Effects in a 0, starting to get ahead. Sami swerves over and blocks Gallen as he's looking for an opportunity to get around Kakadu, so they're pretty on par for pace back there. Sami and Gallen are now side by side. Kakadu's starting to get ahead. And I think we have Sunty coming up and giving these guys a good crack as well. Oh, he's just had to hit the brakes a little bit and allow Gallen in, otherwise they would have made contact, so it was very close. We have 5 cars here, all very tight knit up. This could be interesting, trying to find a nice line and an opportunity to pass safely. Oh, Sami's just gotten broad and he's gone off track Can he bring that back on in time? So that's now allowed several cars to get ahead. That's cost him 3 or 4 positions. Kakadoo's up in 3rd position. Gallen's now in 4th. Gallen and Sami were both competing side by side for most of that 1st and 2nd sectors. Almost a lap fighting it out with that mistake, seeing Sami off down into 8th position now. Santi had moved up pretty good through the ranks and was ready to have a crack, but avoiding incident from Sami's spin out has seen him drop back a little bit. So that now sees T-Rex and DG0787 have a chance at having a pass on Santi. And Azura is flying ahead. Demon Effect's not too far behind. Less than a second difference between the two. Ooh, the Demon Effects is just taking that corner way too sharp. He's possibly going to be seeing a slowdown for that. I wouldn't be surprised. That's where we've seen him in the qualifying session do that dive and slide. It was seeing him get some very quick times, but that did not favour in that instance. So it's now just dropped him by about 600th of a second and still climbing. So Azuro having that good exit speed, being nice and smooth through, has got that advantage now. Demon Effect still could close that gap quite quickly. Gallen now has Kakadu in his sights. Kakadu did manage to get ahead a fair bit while Gallen and Sami were battling it out. They were too occupied in ensuring they weren't making contact. Oh, and T-Rex and DG at the back there. DG looking to make a move on T-Rex, but he's just moved that back around. Oh, side by side, nearly interlocked wheels. T-Rex goes out wide and DG makes that inside pass. A brilliant move by DG. T-Rex quickly recovers ground and is still sitting tight behind him. DG now has Santi up ahead to try and get around. DG in some very good form at the moment. There was bad luck between him and Disfigured Soul in the last laps of the first race last week, which saw them two interlock wheels. It looked like there was a bit of lag interference going on with the two, and they both ended upside down. It was a huge crash. Oh, it looks like Sami's trying to recover some ground. He's right up behind T-Rex. Ooh, DG had made a mistake, so it's seen him drop 2 positions. Sami now makes his way back up again. Gallen 350 looks to go for an inside pass on the last corner. Wasn't enough, that slightly puts him off for the exit speed, but he's taken advantage of a good slipstream from Kakadu at the moment. It is very tight. Oh, he looks to go for an inside line, and Kakadu makes a move to block. Oh, and Santi just goes very wide on turn 1. He brings that back in just in time. That could have been drastic if he had ran off completely. Gallen slipping behind Kakadu at the moment. No, he's caught back up. Kakadu's made a mistake coming out of that corner. He's lost some speed. This is going to be a nice pass if you can get around him. He's got a left turn. He's got the line. That's his. Both of them come through rather quick and go out wide. We saw Kakadu get sliding through there in the qualifying, but manages a very nice line, identical of Gallen's. These two are very tight. And Azura, our race leader and championship leader, well ahead. Oh, Gallen makes a mistake, very wide out in the dirt. That sees Kakadu get around. That's not enough. Yes, he's just in 3rd. Gallen almost had opportunity to still own that racing line coming to that next corner. Kakadu making that pass and getting off the line did impede him slightly, so Gallen has recovered reasonably okay because of that. Very nice exit speed through that section. This is very tight. He's going to be catching up to him very quickly. Not sure differences in fuel loads here. They are identical. These cars are going to be just as heavy as each other. Oh, that is tight. Gallon was right on the tail of Kakadu. Oh, and Kakadu hits that curb and nearly flicks back out and hits Gallon. That was very close. That's now allowed Sunti, T-Rex and Sami to be able to catch up on Kakadu. A little bit of breathing space for Gallon now. That's enough distance away to be able to break that slipstream. That means Kakadu is going to be having Sunti and T-Rex close in pretty quickly. But Sunti's jumped offline. That's big lock up by Kakadu. Oh, and he's gone for a slide. Sunti just narrowly avoids him. Can he recover in time? He's lost a position, maybe two. T-Rex is now quickly closing in. He's only lost the one position. He tucks back in just behind Sunti, goes for an inside lock. Oh, just touches rubber. Oh, and they're going to interlock. They're going to run each other off here. They both peeled off either direction. That is lucky before those wheels jumped over each other. Now that is as much rubbing as you can get in these cars. You cannot trade paint in these things. Unless you're both on the roof and on top of each other. It's the only way. Oh, and Sami's gone off again. I think it's the same section we saw him lose it before. He's lost several positions. DG now takes it into 7th position. Sunti and T-Rex are fighting it out here. Oh, side by side. T-Rex is going to have the advantage. No, good exit speed by Sunti has allowed him to keep that position. He manages to stay in 5th position. Oh, and that's Demon Effects. He's gone off. No, it's not Demon Effects. Who is that? That's Disfigured Soul's car. He's a lap down by the looks of things. Incident almost occurring with a lapped car that could have been drastic for these guys. We're halfway through the race at the moment. We have our championship leader, Azuro, currently leading the race by 3.5 seconds. Running a race on his own at the moment. So all the action happening in the midfield. Demon Effects, a little ways to go to try and catch up. I don't think he's going to be able to get Azuro in this instance. He's got a good advantage, plenty of distance between him. And the same with Gallon as well. So here's a fair enough gap behind at that current paces. It's going to be hard to close that gap in. They're not going to have any advantage of the slipstream to try and get some more top end speed, since these cars can't really be adjusted too much or have a power advantage over the other. Oh, and Sunti's just gotten around Kakadu, so Sunti's now taking 4th. Rex looking to take on Kakadu as well. Oh, a little bit of lag going on as well. Could be an issue when they are racing this close. Cars need to be aware of each other and what their latencies are. I recommend all our drivers in the series that they have multiplayer names turned on. It can be a little bit of an annoyance seeing drivers' names floating above cars. However, when it does that, it has their ping number underneath, so you can just see how bad their network connection is compared to yours. So the higher that ping, when you're racing only inches away from each other, that could mean you're basically already making contact without knowing, and the cars will react as if they're touching. However, you're not actually visually seeing it. And then if you go to make that inside pass, thinking you have that space there, you may not actually have it. Oh, and T-Rex, this is going to be costly. It's going to put him into the wall. He narrowly avoids it, brings it back out on track. It's not race ending for him, but it has lost him a couple of positions. Sunti and Sami feel a little bit of breathing space now, with T-Rex slightly falling behind. Sami has an opportunity to try and catch these two as well. Strasbourg and Slappy Kiwi at the moment are fighting for 10th position. Slight different lines. Strasbourg looking for an opportunity to get around on that inside, but that wasn't the opportunity. He went a little bit too much and a bit of oversteer happened. think a big cheer needs to be given to Azuro. This has been a brilliant race for him. Last lap at 2:16.531. Demon Effects last lap 2:16.959. Gallon 2:16.472. But he's got 4 seconds to make up. That's not enough over 2 laps to try and close that gap in. Fastest lap so far we have 2:16.132, and that's set by Azuro. So taking a pole position, a race win and fastest lap will see him with some very nice points for the opening race in round 2, especially with already a 51-point lead in that championship. A little bit of slip going on for his car. I'm not sure if he's still just trying to push this car to its limits. He's got enough time with only 2 laps remaining that he can take it easy. We might see how he's going for fuel. He's got enough fuel to finish the race. There's not an issue there. He just needs to get around nice and clean. 4.5 seconds safety net between him and Demon Effects. Gallon's got 8 seconds difference between him and Demon Effects. And then 8 seconds between him and Kakadu. I think if there's no issues for Gallon, he can safely have a spot on the podium. Kakadu starting here ahead of Santi again. Another error could see Santi be able to take an opportunity to get past Kakadu again. They have swapped a couple of times and exchanged blows with interlocking as well. Sami really closing in on Santi. Oh, locked up by Kakadu coming into the corner. Oh, there's been contact. That's Kakadu locked up into the corner and then tried to correct that, and he was very slow in that corner, so that saw Santi have nowhere to go but to give him a tap. I don't think there's any damage that's going on between them, but that's seen Kakadu drop to 7th position. I don't think we can see any damage to the car. It seems to look okay. There's something floating in the sky there as we go past, though. For that one, it looked like a part of the car, which is interesting. Oh, big broad slide. That's where we saw Demon go for a big broad slide before. T-Rex a second behind Santi. A little bit of slip going on. Santi doing well in 5th position. Sami's snuck up into 4th. Unless something drastic goes on to our top 3, I don't think there's a shot at the podium, but a 4th finish will be very nice. And a bit of spacing going on with the cars now. So Azuro doing well. He's still pushing that lead out. Oh, T-Rex has just received, and Kakadu has received slowdown penalties. They must have just cut a section of track. That's 1 second to each of them. With current time spacings, it's not going to be costing them a position. There's plenty of difference between them. Gallon's last lap a little bit off that pace. He's done a 2:19. But he can take it easy. He does have a fair way. He's got 6 seconds. He is closing that gap on Demon Effects, but he can't do it in time with only 1 lap remaining. Unless Demon Effects makes a significant error here, Gallon will be pretty safe in 3rd position. That should guarantee him a spot on the podium. 1 lap remains. Oh, thanks for joining us, Simo. No problem, mate. It's been some very good racing, Simo. Been some very fierce racing between the midfield tonight. Azuro's got a very strong lead. Giant now looking to get around DG. Ooh, it was a locked break by DG into that. Oh, and he's come across into him and made contact. Looks like it's not too much of an issue. It was just from spinning out in front of him. He's managed to get away with no damage. He's got a while to catch up to anyone up ahead, so it hasn't ruined his race for him. And DG will be able to at least get around and finish this. And we haven't been able to see much of our race leader. He's been out there leading this race by about 6 to 7 seconds throughout this. Getting an early lead, a good start. There was a delayed off the lights by Demon Effects. That allowed Sami to get ahead of him quite early. But he managed to recover back into second position. It'll be great to see you again on the track next week, Simo. And coming up, oh, and Jeffries has joined in on the session. So we'll have another car for the second session tonight. And here we are, Azuro coming up for the race win. Crosses the line. Congratulations, Azuro, taking the win in round 2 sprint race. Demon Effects crossing in second position. Gallant following up in third. Usually we get a flash of the lights from Gallen, but these things do not have headlights, so Sami done well. A couple of spin outs, seeing him drop down to 7th or 8th position, so recovering back into 4th position is brilliant. Also, same with Sunti. T-Rex really close up behind him. The T-Rex finishing in 6th position. Him and Kakadu both had time second penalties, 1 second each. Gino 7 coming up into 8th position. Crosses the line. Congratulations, DG. And Gino having that incident only cost him a position. Strasberg has 80 seconds to finish up this last lap. He's pretty safe. Slappy Kiwi and Disfigured Soul a little bit behind. Lucky Kiwi having a very long last lap, so I'm not sure if he's done a stint in the pits at all. He may have had to have done some repairs. Kiwi won't get to see him wrap up for a lap. We'll see Strasberg cross the line, and this will be it for race 1 of round 2. And there he goes, crossing the line. And race results for race 1 of round 2 of the Apex Esports League Formula Rookie Cup. We see Azuro at the top of the podium claiming victory and also fastest lap time. And then we saw him with a pole position as well, so a clean sweep in the first race. Also on the podium we have Demon Effects, Gallant 350, and then followed by Sami, Sunti, T-Rex, Kakadu, Gina, DG, Strasberg, Slappy Kiwi and Disfigured Soul. So we'll be heading over into about a 9-minute break, and then we'll be heading off into session 2. So that'll be a 15-minute qualifier followed by the main race, which is 16 laps around Nurburgring GP. So stay tuned. We will be back momentarily while the drivers refresh themselves, and be back with some more intense, exciting racing around the Nurburgring. So stay tuned. And welcome back for session 2. So we've had an extra car join in, and he's already out on the track. First one to exit, super keen. Jeffrey's able to make it into session 2 of round 2. So we just saw a great drive by Azuro, taking the victory in the first race, and that's after a pole position and the fastest lap of the race. Oh, very slippery for Jeffries. He's recovered that car reasonably well. Kakadu drivers just were discussing that there was some lag issues going on with him. When all the drivers were nice and close, we saw a few little incidents that was probably lag related. Trex joining us for the race tonight. So a great drive for him. Oh, big slide from Gallen, recovers that nicely. That was well done. Don't forget, if you're joining us for the stream, don't be shy, say hello. Let us know who you think's going to get pole position in this session. Can Azuro get another pole position? There is 20 points up for grab for a pole. That's very crucial to try and get a good strong position. DG looking to get some heat in them tyres. Game session time is now 1 PM. We're getting midday temperatures, however weather is now heavy clouds, so it'll keep it slightly cool. You should see some much quicker times than we saw in practice and qualifying. 2:15 was the time. That was a very blistering quick lap. And then we saw Demon Effects and Azuro both get into that 2:15, so that was very tight. We saw them fiercely competing for those positions in the race, but Azuro did start to get ahead pretty quickly. And then we saw some good battles going on with Sami and Kakadu, and Gallen managed to get ahead into position 3, and that saw him finish on the podium. Sami, after a couple of spin outs, seeing him fall towards the back end of the grids, but he ended up actually recovering back up into 4th position, so it was a good recovery drive. And Santi not far behind in 5th position. Line by Strasbourg. Slappy Kiwi and Azuro side by side at the moment, just ahead of Strasbourg. So it is still only opening laps, and it is a long track, so 2-minute lap time. So for an opening lap, there's a good amount of time to get some temperatures into those tyres, ready for that first lap. But not a lot of tread is going to be putting down onto that track just yet, so the racing lines will tend to get a little bit more grippier after about 4 laps. That racing line will stick a lot more, and we should see some very tight times coming in on lap 3 and 4. Sami tucking in behind Terex just ahead of him. Nice line by the two. Exit out is a very different line, however, but pace between the two is very much the same. And Terex had some very good pace, so Sami could potentially use his position here to try and get a nice lap time by taking advantage of some slipstream. Opening cold laps at 2:18. Jeffrey's coming in for 2:21. Gallen with a 2:17, so already on a good pace for an opening lap at 2:17. That's very respectable. Ooh, a little bit offline going through there, but that should be enough for an exit speed, and will make up for it having a nice draft here from Sunty and T-Rex, but he dives out already. He's looking to make a good inside line. Coming into turn one. Very different lines between the two. Sunty's gone off into the kitty litter. Someone's already taken out a cone as well. Gallen currently in with the quickest time. We have 4 more cars to get times on the board. Hey, Weaven, thanks for joining us. I'm doing well, thanks. Hope you're well and recovery's going well for you as well. That's a lot of wells being thrown out there, but Sami currently in with the second quickest time. Demon Effects first lap at 2:26. He's probably spent some extra time trying to get some heat into these tyres. We saw him in a 0 in the first session. Oh, T-Rex has run off wide. Actually, that might be Gallen's car, I think. Yeah, it was Gallen, actually. It's a blue and black car. This lap isn't going to be a good one for him. We had Demon Effect set a 2:15. I think he can do it. So a 0's come back through with quickest time at 2:16. Grasberg currently in 4th, now 5th, and he's brought the car back into the pits. Should probably see a fair few 2:16s this time around, I think. Gallen still sitting behind Sunty, but Gallen has run off on this lap, so it's not going to count. He's got to decide whether Sunty's going to be keeping some good pace or not, and he can tuck in behind. That's good to hear. Weaving you, hopefully we can see on track in these things. They're having a lot of fun driving these cars. Oh, big broad. Gallen tucks that car back in behind Sunty. That was some very tight lines by the two of them. It's a very similar corner for most of the drivers. We've seen some big slides go around. Sorry, and that's Demon Effects, not Sunty. So these two were very on par with pace in the first session. Oh, that's going to cost Demon Effects throwing some gravel out. It's no damage to the car, so he's going to bring that car in anyway. And Gina 07 at the moment, currently sitting in with 6th quickest time. He's 2.8 seconds off the fastest time. 2:19s for first laps is pretty good. I think we'll probably definitely see him get into the 2:18, 2:17. Kakadu looking to a little bit quicker, and a 0's just bettered his time. His last fastest lap was a 2:16.861. He's just come through with a 2:16.072. Can he break that 2:15 mark in the next lap? Kakadu was having some lag issues in the first session. It seems to be looking a lot smoother at the moment, so I think that issue's been fixed. I think there's been some PlayStation Network issues. We have the stream dropping out a few times from the broadcast. And then we had all sorts of chat issues going on with the drivers beforehand. Some drivers not actually able to talk because of connection issues. And it took a fair amount of time to try and get all the drivers in. And then a few having to actually jump out of the lobby and back in to try and rectify a few things as well. But everything seems to be going smoothly from once we got out of that qualifying session in the first session of tonight's racing. And Jeffrey's not able to make the first session, but he has made it for the second. And he's catching up on Slappy Kiwi. Slappy Kiwi's in the red car up ahead. Jeffrey is going out nice and wide, ready for that very tight apex. Chained in through the following ones, a little bit of oversteer going on, but he pulls that through nicely. DG with a 221. Oh, very broad, that same corner again. We saw some nice drifting going on by Demon Effects in practice and qualifying in the first session tonight. That is a very interesting corner. We've seen some good passes made there as well. It's very quick coming into there, and then he can throw that car back in quickly for that following right turn. Slappy Kiwi also joining us for the stream and also racing. He's been jumping in on the chat as well. He's going to do some burnouts for us in the first session. We did miss it. He might manage to do that. We usually get Gallon doing burnouts in the last lap. We haven't seen that in this series yet. And Disfigured Soul missing out on championship points as he debuted with us last week. Oh, T-Rex gets around very tightly on that inside line. The Disfigured Soul debuted with us last week but wasn't aware that we had 2 races to a round, so we end up leaving during the break. Missed out on that second race, so he's here for the 2 tonight. Wishing him all the best in this qualifying session and then the following race. The Zero's just brought that car into the pits, struggling to get some 215s. That last lap, a 216.283 is Zero set, so still quicker than his first pole setting time of 216.861, so he still leads with a 216.072. Gallon's only 0.146 off pace from Zero. There's only a minute 15 remaining of qualifying, so that's enough time for Gallon to get around and potentially steal a pole position. Demon Effects slightly off pace this session. We saw him on par with a Zero with 215s. Has he made an improvement here? He has. He's moved up into a 216.1. 0.28 of a second off a Zero. So there's enough time for him to get around and get another lap. We see the dive and slide here by Demon. That's his signature move for turn 1 tonight. Last time when we saw him do that, we saw him set a 215. Can he do it again? 20 seconds left of the session, and that will mean last laps. We should get about 120 seconds roughly, I think, slightly short of that to get the last laps done. And he is just about halfway through, so he's got time to be able to steal pole position. Gallon's brought the car in. Sorry, 180 seconds to get it done. So, jump back on board. Yeah, so most cars will be able to get last laps in. We'll have 5 cars being able to set their last laps. Can Demon Effect steal pole position? Let's see his gears from the timing going off it, but we'll be able to see his split data here. Running 4 litres of fuel, nice line through that corner. There's a nice fast corner here. Now the Feather through in third, get right up on that curb. Not quite. And some tricky chicanes up here. Oh, up over the curb. Oh, nicely done. That can usually cost you your lap by cutting the corner there. In a very tricky line here. You want to turn in very early, but you want to get a very late apex and then correct that back out. Slightly bit of oversteer he's had to correct, but I think this could be a better lap. No, it's not a pole stealing lap. And he's half a second off his best lap, so not enough to steal it away, but he starts from position 2. Rex not having a chance to finish this lap up. Bunty half a second quicker than his best time. Oh, it could be enough for him to steal a position away from T-Rex. Last car out there, can he do it? Will he move up into 8th position? Yes, he looks like he's moved up into 7th. Yes, so jumped 2 positions. Brilliantly done on that last lap, recovering a couple more positions. So starting from the front is a 0 yet again, and also Demon Effects in 2nd. A little bit of a swap around. We had Sami starting last round in 3rd. We now have Gallon starting in 3rd position. Sami in 4th, followed by Strasbourg, Gina, Sunti, Kakadu, T-Rex, Jeffries, DG, Slappy Kiwi, and Disfigured Soul. So no grid place penalties this time around. So heading off into the final race for tonight for round 2. You're joining us for the stream. Don't forget to let us know who you think's going to take the win. Will we see a repeat of last week with a 0 taking a double win? It's not the best starting point for the camera angles for this race, so for this track. Yeah, that's right, Weaven, and I think it could be. There was a fair bit of battling going on between Gallon, Sami and Kakadu early on in the first race tonight, so that allowed Demon Effects in a 0 to start sneaking away and having a good lead on the rest of the field. So, and that was because they did get off to actually a very delayed start off the lights, where 0 got ahead very quickly, and Sami got a good jump. If they get away for a good start, and Gallon does tend to take it cautiously on the start after losing a couple of race victories due to drive-through penalties. If he can get a very good start here, I think Zero is going to be in for a fight for this victory here. Here we are, ready to go. Oh, and Azuro's nudging that car forward. He's trying to get advantage, and it's green. Off we go. A good start by Azuro. Demon Effects slide. Oh, a good jump. He's now getting ahead of Azuro. He's going to have advantage for an inside line. He's just narrowly ahead of him. Gallon has also got away. Sami's a little bit behind. T-Rex is going to have to try and find a better position here. Gallon's had to lock in. Oh, and Sami's got a position, but he's just blocked off Gallon in the process. It looks like a good clean turn one. Demon Effects looking to get a pass on Azuro already. Sami starting to catch up on them as well. Gina's moved up into 4th position. Gallon's recovered back into 4th now. Gina's slipped back. Him and Kakadu are swapping back and forth at the moment. Oh, that is close. A very good start here. This is very tight between these few. Azuro's starting to slip away, but Demon Effects isn't going to give up. He's still got the advantage for some speed for that slipstream from Azuro, where Azuro snuck ahead pretty quickly, and once you start to break that distance where the slipstream is no longer in effect, that's when you have the advantage to get away from the rest of the cars in these things. That is very tight. A bit of distance between Demon Effects and Gallon now. Over Sami and Kakadu are very tight up. I think Demon Effects is going to be looking for a pass here very soon. On board. Oh, a little bit of correction going through that corner. I think there was a little bit of a lock-up. I see Azuro starting to slip away a little bit ahead. Demon needs to hold that exact same line as him, try and close in on some speed. He seems to be topping out before having to get on the anchors for the chicanes. Azuro is getting away now. Oh, a little bit of incidents going on at the back there. Kakadu seemed to have made an error. He's lost a bit of time. Gallon is now honing in on Demon Effects. I think they can potentially catch up. Gina has T-Rex right on his tail here. I think he's going to make a move. Probably swing out for an inside line. Here he goes. He's going to have to get on the brakes a lot earlier and harder than Gina. But Gina's going to have a very good... Oh, but he runs that out way too wide. That allows Sami to get up on that outside edge and then get a pass. No. Gina has held it, but just barely. Sami's... Oh, there's almost a nudge there. That is tight. And Strasbourg right up on the inside of these two as well. He's looking for a potential 2-car pass. Oh, he's got some big speed over these two. Strasbourg is going for them. Will he do a 1-2? No, he has to bring that car just in time. Tucks it back in. Oh, there's big contact. That's huge hit. Sami has been absolutely flipped. He's lost the front and rear cows. And he's lost the sides as well. That's going to be costing him the race for this. I think that was a bad move by Strasbourg for that one. That's going to be a big cost to Sami. He was doing so well. Oh, and Gallon has caught up really tight to Demon Effects. Oh, Demon makes a slightly bad line. Gallon had the much bigger speed advantage, but then had to bring that car back in right on tight. Going to be a nice fast corner here. You can take this inside line quite well, but it might drift out. Demon's going to have the advantage here. No, he receded and allowed Gallon to get through. He was going to be on a bad line to be able to get that chicane. And Azuro is only just ahead. Here we go, first times. Gallon's lap a 2:15.475. Azuro set a 2:16.136. So that 2:15 time is quicker than what we saw in the qualifyings. That is a blistering lap by Gallon. A little bit of a bad line going into turn 1. That's cost him a little bit of gap that he's caught up on Azuro. Once Azuro starts to get ahead and have that safety, that's when he gets into a real good form. He performs very well when he's out there on his own. These two need to try and close that gap in, put a bit of pressure on him, let him see them in the mirrors a lot, keep him checking behind, and then potentially see him slightly get off pace. That will be the advantage to be able to catch up onto him. They need to keep peg for peg with him at this stage. But there is a mandatory pit for this race, so having a very effective pit stop strategy is going to be key to victory here. If these guys keep pretty level and not too far apart, it could come down all to pit. You don't want the race to have been cost just by a bad pit. And drivers need to make familiar. And then where's poor Sami off to the side there, trying to limp that car back to the pits. That's a long way around. He's only 2/3 of the way through, unfortunately. There's no mechanical failures set for this, as most incidents where there's hits like that, it would not have been drivable. The car would be stuck and you would actually have to retire. As once you usually lose a wheel, and especially 2 wheels, you cannot get these things home, so it costs them the race. So with mechanical failures off, it at least allows them to limp a car back around for another go. Well, Sami has retired, he's just dropped out. Fortunate for Sami. It'll be a very interesting review. Gallon currently only a second behind Azuro, and still quicker pace than Azuro. So last lap 2:16.135 compared to Azuro's 2:16.260. At this rate, Azuro is in trouble. However, Gallon needs to keep that focus and keep Demon at bay. Perhaps a bit of teamwork needed to be done by these two, them to at least have a shot at taking first position. No risky moves between these two, so they can just stay focused on closing this gap to Azuro. Not much movement, they are still keeping this same pace. They're pretty safe at the moment from 4th position. So there's 10 seconds difference between Demon Effects and Kakadu. Gina and T-Rex starting to close the gap on each other here. DG sitting in 7th position is a little bit behind T-Rex at the moment by 16 seconds. Jeffrey's about 4 seconds behind DG at the moment, and 2 seconds behind there is Slappy Kiwi. Strasbourg finally catches up with him, a little bit behind. He did have that incident with Sami, so that's put him back. Sunti's slipped back a fair bit. He was up there towards the start. Disfigured. Currently, a little bit wide there for him. And then they're about the same distance apart now. This is getting very tight. Demon Effect slipping by a little bit, so he's about 800th of a second. Oh, Gallon's made a mistake. Bit of understeer coming into turn 1's just cost him a little bit of time. He'd narrowed that gap to 0.6, and it's now slipped out to a 0.8. And to 1, that's cost him a position. Demon Effects now reclaims 2nd position. Gallon making some errors on those first two turns. So we're seeing the same 1, 2, 3 as in race 1. But it's not over yet. There's still some chances to have a crack at a 0. He is slipping away. These two need to close that gap in, put some pressure on a 0, get him off pace. These 3 cars are in the 215s for the last lap. 0 setting a 215.7, Demon Effects a 215.1, and Gallon a 215.3. And that was with a bit of an error coming into this second lap here. So, and since he's still keeping pretty good pace with Demon Effects, he's recovered a fair bit through Sector 2 after those 2 errors in Sector 1 on this lap. We'll gauge just how these guys are doing. It's a Demon running 15 litres of fuel. Gallon a litre less. It's a slightly lighter in fuel load. Oh, he's so tight. Looks to go for an outside pass. Going to have him in a good position for the next corner. No, he has to move back over. Wasn't enough. We saw that same switch back with Demon Effects and Gallon the other lap. Oh, and then coming into the last corners, Gallon makes a nice inside pass. A few corrections, a little bit of oversteer going on for Demon Effects. It was brilliantly done, and we'll just see fuel loads. These 3 all running same fuel, so it's enough to get them around for another 10 laps. And this is where we see Demon Effects usually go for a dive and slide into turn 1. That saw him start to lose some time. He was getting some brilliant times in the qualifying by doing that, but when we did see him close the gap on a 0 in race 1 tonight, that dive and slide did see him lose about half a second, and then from that point on is when a 0 just climbed ahead. And once they're at that 2.5 second mark, that's when the slipstream advantage is gone. Last laps for these two was a 2:18. A 0 setting a 2:16.2. There's going to have to be some consistent 2:15s by these two guys. They did manage to do it just in the laps before. If they can do a few consistent ones of those, they'll close that gap in on a 0 pretty quickly. He's now put that lead out to 3 seconds. Kakadu and Gina contesting for position 4. Gina doing well in position 4 at the moment. Kakadu ran wide but managed to be able to pull in a nice line still right up the tail of Gina. He's putting some pressure on him here. Swings out for an outside move. Not enough. Tucks it back in. He's going to have to get alongside here. He's going to be in a bad spot. Forces a break from Gina, but he does a switch back. Oh, they've interlocked. Tyres are on. They are stuck together. This is going to end badly for both of them. The rear count is gone from Kakadu, and Gina has just run off from it. They could not get off from each other. That's allowed T-Rex to get a position. So the left wing's gone from Kakadu's car, and I think Gina's missing them as well. Yes, there is some damage going on with those cars. So you can see the radiator exposed now after he's lost that side. It's going to be costly to these two, especially the Kakadu losing that rear cow. He's going to be losing a little bit of rear downforce. And Gina's looking to get back up ahead. Nice inside line. But I think T-Rex may have a good exit speed to run on and continue on for this next turn. Tucks in right behind yet again. A little bit of slip and understeer going into that, having to correct ready for the next apex. Takes it out nice and wide onto that curb. Kakadu starting to get back ahead after taking that fair bit of damage. That is quite lucky. Rex really looking to try and make a move. Oh, and Demon Effects has just done an inside pass on Gallen. These two swapping back, so a big error made by Gallen. He's dropped back a fair bit. So they were half a second between the two. And then suddenly Gallen is now 1 second behind Demon Effects. A few errors made by Gallen so far in these last few laps. A bit of driver fatigue setting in. It is an exhausting track. But I think these two will still yet to be exchanging positions a couple of times over the course of the next 8 laps. And last lap set by a 2:16.5. Demon Effects at 2:16.852 and Gallen at 2:18.781. So that error costing him 2 seconds. Slightly slow by a 0 into that first turn. Oh, Demon Effects has just ran wide, but he's managed to recover, but that's allowed Gallen to try and reclaim some of that lost ground from that error before. These two are going to be giving us a pretty good show, I think, with a few more exchanges in position for sure. Zero is starting to get that nice strong lead already. So we saw him leading by about, I think it was 7 seconds in the first session. Jeffries is already head into the pits, so he's heading in for the halfway mark. I'm not sure when these guys are going to decide to pit. We saw a 0 pit on the second last lap last week. I can only assume a 0 is going to leave pitting to the very last moment again, but he may throw off these guys and decide to pit, and that could see them follow through. We're talking early before heading into the races tonight just about how these cars work and having the advantage for slipstreams. You don't want to be the only car out there losing advantage of slipstreams to catch up. So when you do see some cars peel off, sometimes it's advantage to head into the pits, follow them, and then get back out on track and use that slipstream advantage by tailing in behind them. And these cars are just oversized go-karts. They handle much the same. And the power out of all these cars are exactly the same. You need every little advantage to get out of it. It is custom setups, not default. The tiny adjustments can make a little bit of difference just to more suit your driving style. However, it is all coming down to driver skill for these. I'm just learning take advantage of these cars. Oh, big slide by Demon Effects. It's cost him half a second doing that before. It's definitely cost him big time here. Gallen's is now caught up. He's going to be feeling some pressure. Demon's dive and slide not going as well as he planned. Giant and Kakadu now in the pits as well. They both do have damage, so they will be needing to fix that. Kakadu tailing in. That will be costing them seconds on their laps. Yes, their pace is a couple of seconds off what they were setting in qualifying. The only way for the downforce is those little side wings. The difference between the Formula Fords and other Formula type cars missing the rear wings and the front wings. So ride height and opening those radiator vents for those side wings is where you can get some big downforce advantages. Gallon right hot on Demon's tail into the chicanes. This is where we've seen them exchange position a couple of times. And a nice line through here. Good exit speed is going to allow Gallon to try and catch up. Demon slightly getting ahead. This is where we see Demon do the dive and slide. So very different lines. You can see Demon goes for that slide, but it costs him a lot of time. You need to go out rather wide and then bring that car in. Oh, that is tight between the two. It is very tight side by side into turn 2. Demon manages to still sit behind, but a lot of good exit speed coming out for Gallon. He's going to need to try and make a move on him very soon. Oh, that's a good switch. There's a bit of a slide from Demon yet again. Gallon was going for that inside move, but I think he hesitated seeing that slide from Demon. If he had a slid out in front of him, that could have ended it for both of them. Oh, looks to make a move, making it known that he wants to take the line. And they've got some traffic coming up. That's Slappy Kiwi just ahead. Blue flag shown. The two get around. Not slowing them up at all. Zero now on lap 10. He's now 5.5 seconds ahead. Gallon gets around on the outside of the corner. Nice line for Gallon, maintaining that speed through that fast corner and followed through for the next as well. And they'll be coming up to the chicane. Gallon bounces that car up. Very nice lines. Coming up into the final turn. There we saw Demon get a better line last lap around. No advantage there. It's a Gallon. Gets ahead. A Zero now leading by 7 seconds. We saw him get that within 8 laps in race 1. It's taken him 11 laps to get that now. Except that lap around, he's just lost about a second. But still very quick pace by a Zero, setting 2:16 the last lap. Gallon at 2:18 and Demon Effects in 2:19, almost a 2:20. So very much off his pace there. But losing that half a second from that big slide in turn 1. And Gallon starting to slip ahead now. Kakadu and Gina in and out of the pits roughly at the same time, so they're still looking to have another shot at each other's position. Hopefully no damage with it. We've already had one casualty so far, with Sami getting taken out big time. Kakadu slipping behind now. Oh, Demon Effects with a time second penalty as well. So he's cut a corner, and it's a 2-second one. That could be costly to him, especially if he wants to have a shot at getting past Gallon. That means he's going to have to get ahead by at least 2 seconds, otherwise that time penalty is going to see him lose that position. The car starting to space out a bit now. There's a second between Gallon and Demon Effects. And a Zero running a race on his own yet again. I think we're going to be seeing a repeat of last week. Zero seems to be in his element racing these things. As going to require a significant error on Azuro's behalf for Gallon and Demon Effects to catch back up and have a crack at putting some pressure on him. Gallon's last lap of 2:17. Demon Effects just under 2:20. His pace is really off at the moment. And fatigue would be setting in now for sure. 12 laps around this very technical track. And T-Rex peeled off into the pits now. They're serving their mandatory pit, and it's a very long way into the pits. Kakadu and Giant looking to still exchange. The rest of the field is pretty well spaced out. Gallon's closing that gap to 6.5 seconds now. No, it's just pushed back out to 7 seconds. These two still not close enough to make a move. Go through the rest of the field and see how everyone is going. Just figured Sol currently in 12th position. He has a time second penalty as well. Flappy Kiwi in 11th position. It's running off wide, narrowly avoiding the sand trap. Jeffrey's nice line through the chicanes. Currently sitting in 10th position. He's about 6 seconds behind Strasbourg. It's done a 2:20 for that lap. 7 seconds ahead of him is DG in position 8. Now 12 seconds ahead is Santi. Kakadu is caught up to T-Rex and Giant now. Oh, this is close, very close. There is not much between them. Not sure who that was that just went off. I think that may have been Disfigured Soul. Yeah, it's just letting these guys through. Just a little bit of traffic to have bunched them up a little bit. Bit of a battle going on for 4th position. Seeing them all catch up on the straight. Kakadu having the greatest advantage of the slip here. Having the stream of 2 cars. Oh, big lock up of the brakes as they come into the chicane. It allows Kakadu to get a nice pass. That was brilliantly done. But the 2 cars had a lot of extra speed that they weren't used to, so that locking up cost T-Rex a position. Kakadu took advantage of it with slightly less locking of the brakes. T-Rex not too far behind. He'll tuck back in and try and catch back up to these guys. Demon Effects now in 2nd position. It's a significant error probably by Gallon. He's now slipped behind a fair bit. Not sure if he's taken damage. They had a fair bit of space between them. Trying to see if we might go on to a chase here and see if he's taken any damage. Doesn't look like he has. He's made an error. He's got a fair bit to try and catch back up now. And Azure peels off into the pits. So he's had 5 seconds before him and Demon. Demon's going to have to decide. No, he decides to stay out on track. Going to take advantage of having a fair bit of gap between him and Gallon. Gallon's probably best to look at peeling into the pits, I think. See what he does. Doesn't peel off. Gonna stay around for another lap. He's going to try and catch up on Demon. He needs to close in a fair bit of time to catch back up to, wrong button there, up to Demon, who's now leading the race, but he does need to pit. Zero now in second position. Gallen's only 4 seconds behind him. Gallen's last lap at 2:40, a Zero's at 2:27. That's a pretty quick lap time with adding a pit stop in. That was very quick in and out. So I think it's enough time for him to be able to close in that line for Demon to have to peel in. Demon most likely going to pit as late as possible. Efficient fuel to get around. Same fuel loads. Demon effects. Needing to try and get as much time out of these next couple of laps if he's going to pit as late as possible. Here he goes. He needs to get in and out as quick as he can. If it's a quick stop and go, they don't have to change tyres, they don't have to have any work done, they can just pull up, wait a couple of seconds and then go. Does vary sometimes for the release time. Sometimes it can take 2 seconds, it can be anywhere up sometimes 5 or 6 seconds. He's in the quick base, that's good. You see, change of tyres, but I don't think it is. Not sure if there's any repairs, it's away. Not going to see him out of the pits in time. It is very close. Zero reclaims the race lead. Gallen in second. 4 seconds behind a Zero, but I think he does need the pit. I'm not sure if that slower lap where we saw Demon get ahead is because of potentially pitting in. I didn't see pit pop up on his name. For those of you watching the stream, if you did notice it, let me know if you did see if Gallen has already pit. He's going to have to pit this lap if that's the case, if he has not yet pit. Oh, he's on the limiter a fair bit. There's something going on with his car. Not sure if that was just from shifting down a bit or if he's having some technical issues going on. May have just shifted down a little bit too early. Like a few clutch issues going on potentially. Gonna have to peel off here if Gallen has not. He's got enough time to be able to get in before Gina, however. Kakadu really trying to close that line in. Rex still not far behind. These three are very close together. Where is Gallen? Yes, he's coming up onto the pits. Oh, a bit of a lock-up by Kakadu. That's cost him a bit of time. That's going to allow Giant to be able to get ahead a little bit. And that's going to see T-Rex close in and put some pressure on him now. Oh, T-Rex seems to be still keeping that pace back. And these two did take damage to each other before. Giant and Kakadu both very tight on the championship leaderboard as well. Kakadu's sitting on 74 points and Giant sitting on 68. Bertie was followed behind them on 63 points. And then Gallen on 58, and Gallen did lose points because he got disconnected in race 2. Gallen hasn't pit, so he did pit. That's why Demon Effects did get past him. It's from the final lap. Gallen's 5 seconds behind. He's also got a time second penalty, so 1 second, but Demon Effects has 2 seconds. So with Demon Effects sitting 4 seconds behind, that is quite lucky. Just means if Gallen has an opportunity to get past a 0 on this final lap, he's going to have to do so by at least a second. Unless a 0 makes a big error here, this race is in the bag for him. Halfway through the final lap. He's taking it easy, keeping himself focused, a bit of weaving going on. He has some time to allow, and he would be seeing the time second penalties most likely on his screen for Gallen and Demon. So he could toy and have a bit of fun and try and cross the line at the same time and still be safe. Kakadu a little bit behind Gina now. I think he could be pretty safe. There's some pretty close lap times for the last lap set by a 0 and Gallen. See Gallen just off in the distance there. Through the chicanes. Into the final turn. And here we will be having a 0 taking another victory. That's 4 victories in a row. And weaving, congratulations, a 0, a double win, double pole, and possibly fastest laps. Gallen crossing in 2nd position. Demon Effects following up on the podium in 3rd. Oh, Kakadu closing in on Gina. That could be a very tight finish. Coming up into the chicane. Oh, mistake made by Gina. It's going to see Kakadu have an advantage here to try and close in on that gap. See if he can make a pass on the final turn. The weaving potentially cost him here. If he does a nice inside line, swings out just in time, it's not going to be enough to get around. Congratulations, Gina in 4th, Kakadu in 5th. Trex following up these two in 6th position. There's 80 seconds left to finish final laps. Well done to Trex, taking 6th position. We have Santi coming up behind Terex in 7th position. There's no one around him. This was position 7 is his in the bag. Well done to Santi, taking 7th. DJ coming into the chicanes now. A little bit of correction coming out. As he makes a mistake here, he's going to be pretty set for 8th position. 40 seconds remain. And there we have DG, well done on 8th position, followed by Strasbourg in 9th. Jeffrey's coming up behind in 10th position. Not sure whose car that is. It might be Disfigured Soul's car. No, it's not Disfigured. It must be Demon Effects. That's an AI driving it. So you... No, potentially not. Not sure whose car that is. And there we have it. The conclusion of round 2. 0-143 on the top of the podium, taking the victory. Does he take the fastest lap? No, that is tight. The 2:15.666 set by a 0, a 2:15.358 by Gallon, and then a 2:15.132 set by Demon Effects, so not a clean sweep by Azuro. So the fastest lap bonus points being taken out by Demon Effects. Well done on that very quick lap, a 2:15.132, almost getting to that slow 2:14s. Well done. So also on the podium we have Gallon 350, Demon Effects in third. We have Giant in fourth, Kakadu in fifth, Terex in sixth, Santi in seventh, DG in eighth, Strasbourg in ninth, Jeffries in 10th, Slappy Kiwi in 11th, Disfigured Soul in 12th, and Sami had to retire after that big incident at the start with Strasbourg costing him the race and retiring very early on, and unfortunately finishing in 13th, but well done for staying on and watching that. So unfortunate for Sami, and that will be a very interesting review just to see what went on there. So be sure to check out our Facebook page or even our Apex Esports League app. You can get all the links to everything there, and you can actually see what happened with that in the instant reports once the results get put up. So next week we head off into round 3, and once I bring up my schedule, so we head over to Zolder, so I believe that is in Belgium. So very good technical fast track, yet again very suited for these cars. So be sure to hit that follow button if you haven't yet, so you can be notified of our events as we go live. So we'll be back again for 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time for the broadcast. And then if you want to catch up on any past streams because you're new to us here, head to our YouTube page. You can see all past broadcasts. They get saved over to there after these streams have finished going live. So thanks for tuning in and watching the great racing, and we're going to be seeing some more great racing next week at Zolder. So thanks for tuning in, and we see you next week.